Welcome back. It's time now for Media Watch France on France 24, our daily look at what is hitting headlines in the French press. James Creedon has all the news.
Good evening, Lana.
Hi. Good evening. Of course, there's a lot of discussion today regarding France's credit downgrade.
That's right. And I suppose it's interesting to look at the reaction online because as many analysis pieces have been pointing out, the government has been expecting this for a couple of months now. So the PR drive has been in full throttle, I suppose, to prepare the public for
landing,
this.
so to speak.
Exactly. So it's been contextualized. You had declarations such as François Bayrou saying the morning frog predicting the weather. That the agent. Sorry, that sounds very strange. François explained that rating agencies aren't le grand nuit du matin qui donne le météo. That they're not, I suppose, the be all and end all. That they're not. Their message is just one message amongst others. Alain Juppé, foreign minister, said that this would not be a cataclysmic event. Nicolas Sarkozy, in an interview with Le Monde in December, said losing the AAA rating would be an added difficulty, but would not be unbearable.
So they've really been downplaying the importance of this.
Exactly. But then there was those leaks that the French press always gets its hands on. Nicolas Sarkozy apparently said behind closed doors that if we lose the AAA rating, I'm dead in the water. That was with regard to his re-election hopes.
He'll be the president who lost the AAA.
Exactly. So he was really concerned about holding on to it for a while. So I suppose just a quick look at what those headlines are saying. Elsewhere, I suppose in L'Expansion, that's one of the financial
papers.
and business papers, they were pointing out that a year ago, very few people in the public knew what a AAA rating was or what credit rating agencies were. It wasn't really part of the public or political discourse. But then it just became, I suppose, absolutely predominant in the coverage. And some say that it could even have, the government could have instrumentalized the fear of the loss of the AAA rating to push through unpopular reforms such as retirement reform in France, which was extremely unpopular with many. In order to maintain the AAA rating, it had to be pushed through. That was one of the arguments used. So yes, and I suppose looking at what other politicians said in recent times, you had Alain Minc, who said the AAA rating is a national treasure. Now, he is an economist and presidential advisor. So I suppose it's funny to see what people were saying about this just a few months ago.
Doesn't quite chime with what authorities are saying right now.
Absolutely, and indeed others. Nadine Morano, also a government minister, said losing out. If the left wins, if the left gets into power in the presidential election this year, they will lose the AAA rating for us. So it's interesting to see how the PR drive or the government PR effort changed radically once they began to realise that the AAA rating was almost certain to be lost, as SNP determined today.
We've got some reactions from the opposition in France as well.
That's right. Now, Eva Joly, she is the Green Party candidate. She has said, she was one of the first to react indeed, and she spoke about the failure of Sarkozy's policies and his tax gifts to the rich. She's more or less blaming his policies.
This has obviously immediately become a campaign issue.
That's right. Just a few months ahead of the election, they're all trying to, I suppose, put their own spin on this. Marine Le Pen, the far-right candidate, she said that this is the first step in the breakup of the Eurozone. She and her party favour a return to the use of the franc. Other candidates, this is the far left candidate, Jean-Luc Mélenchon. He said that this is the equivalent of financial warfare on France, SNP declaring financial war on France.
So France is really under attack from investors, credit ratings agencies.
That's what he's saying.
His vision.
And he also says we must resist. So there you go. That's just some of the reactions from politicians, very quick to use it for their own ends.
We've got another controversy making headlines today, actually making front pages today. That's the front page of left-wing daily Libération.
That's right.
It's about gay marriage here in France.
That's right. Now, this was the front page of the left-leaning daily today. Sarkozy tempted by supporting gay marriage. Now, it's interesting to point out that in 2006, he was not in favour of it. Then, as part of his manifesto in 2007, he was in favour of it, but he never implemented it over the past 4 or 5 years. But that isn't really what is animating most of the discussion. It's the choice of how Libération chose to do this front page.
To illustrate this, that's what I was going to say. That's an interesting picture, to say the least.
You've got Nicolas Sarkozy.
I'm sure it was offensive to many.
That's right. You've got Nicolas Sarkozy putting a ring on the finger of what is perhaps the most stereotypical image of a gay man. It's something like out of the 1970s, Village People.
Absolutely.
So a lot of people were saying Libération, bad choice of front page there. And others are criticising Sarkozy for trying to use this issue to dominate the public space. I just want to show you a couple of tweets before we go,
Sure.
Lana, just how people are making light of the AAA rating issue, to come back to the big story of the day. Because I suppose there is a lot of fear-mongering around the financial crisis, and some people, I suppose, are trying to just let off steam and make a bit of a joke out of it. You've got one tweet here saying, where is it again? Dehors les gens marchent hébétés. Outside, people are walking around bewildered. Somebody telephones a close one, a family member, to try to reassure them. He then hangs up and cries. It's total melodrama.
Like a scene from the end of the world.
Right. And you've got another one here. At the entrance to the metro, a man carries a sign, "It is the end," while handing out Bibles and copies of Challenge and Capital, their financial newspapers. Another person misquoting Charles de Gaulle after the liberation of Paris. Paris outragé, Paris brisé, Paris martyrisé, Paris dégradé. Now, anyone who knows anything about Charles de Gaulle's famous speeches, that was what he said when Paris was liberated. Paris is, broken, martyred, and now freed, not degraded, as it has been misquoted
Well, I
here.
think
So some
humor
people,
is a good way out of it.
Exactly.
It's a good way to sort of put things back in perspective,
exactly,
isn't it?
because let's be honest, it's not the end of the world just yet, even if it's not good
Not
news
yet.
economically.
James Creedon, thanks very
so
much
much.
for being with us. It was Media Watch France on France 24. And now it's time to take a quick look at what's been making a buzz on the internet. It's in tonight's web news.